So welcome to the new and improved Automatic Mouth. Same amazing content, of course. However, with a little sprinkle of Truelove. And I'm now going to be joined by the most awesome, the most wonderful Mr. Adam Truelove, who I met a little while ago, and it was one of those click things, wasn't it?
We did, yeah. It was immediate. I saw you and I was like, ooh, I like her.
And I mean, you've listened to all the Automatic Mouth
Yep, since the beginning.
Since the beginning. So I really believe, I trust that this is going to be a seamless next level
Continuation, yeah.
yes, for Automatic Mouth. And we riff so well. So I'm excited to see where this goes. Yeah.
Yeah, we do. It's I love this. I love the podcast. I love the concept of it. And I always love talking to a fellow linguistics fan, and just being able to to pick it apart really, and because so much of what we say reveals everything of what we think and how we're thinking. So I'm over the moon to be here, and be able to do the visual thing as well. I think it's cool.
I know, it's brilliant. I'm very excited about it. So, well, anyway, let's kick off or kick on. See, it's all about language, isn't it?
It sure is.
It's about what you say, and it's also about what's not said as well, that you can get so much information from if you're prepared to listen, right?
Yeah.
And so we started talking, and now we've decided, podcast episode. We started talking about limitations, and that's a real catchphrase, isn't it, in the personal development world? Limiting beliefs and, be limitless and don't be limited, and et cetera, et cetera. However, let's just break down first. How do you even recognize a limitation, that something's limiting? What's your thoughts, Adam?
Well, absolutely, because it all started with a meme, which is don't let the limitations of others become your own.
Yeah.
So first of all, how do you know? How have you recognized that it's a limitation? Because in an LP, one of the things is what we notice in others is already within us. So is there any judgment there around a limitation? And what is a limitation? Like, is it a limitation, or is it just a fact that you need to learn something new and upskill? So therefore, is it really a limitation? It's just a skill gap that needs to be filled, or a level of understanding that needs to be reached, or things like that. I just thought it was such a wonderful way to just start picking things apart.
Yeah.
And really understanding, because I don't actually see limitations. I always just think, if I can't do it, then I need to learn how to do it, or I need to find somebody that can do it, that can get it done, and then I can learn how to do it on the way. If that makes sense, rather than kind of saying like, oh, I can't do it. Whereas, I've had other people close to me that kind of get to the edge of something and go, oh, that needs to be done. Oh, I can't do it. And they come up with problem, and find out every excuse for why they can't do it.
Well, I guess it comes down to, as well, then, from what you're saying, is the meaning that we give individually to a limitation, because a limitation does not have to be a negative thing. It's how you respond to something that's limiting your growth or limiting your ability to complete something, go somewhere, whatever it is whatever track you're on. When you face a barrier, in effect, it's limiting your ability. So how you respond to that is everything, isn't it?
Everything.
It's either you see it as negative and say, oh, well, I can't do this because of, and then whatever sort of belief you might have. I can't, start my own business because, excuse me, because I'm too old, or because I'm not tech savvy. Whatever excuses you come up with, that is your mind meeting a barrier and accepting it as a negative limitation and lowering the bar for yourself. Or you hit that barrier and exactly like you said, hey, oh, well, okay, I don't actually know how to do X, Y, Z. So it's about becoming resourceful then, isn't it?
Yeah.
And refusing to be pushed back and instead finding a way through, whether that's
Exactly.
asking someone who knows, do a course, read a book, YouTube, like.
I was just about to say, Google is my friend in these things. How do I blah blah blah? How to XYZ, and Google comes up with all kinds of answers.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Because often you're not the first person. The amount of times I've gone into Google and started typing, my question that I think is so random, and then find halfway through that someone else has already asked that.
Absolutely. However, I would just hasten to add that this doesn't apply to medical procedures or anything of life-threatening nature.
Small caveat there.
Yeah, small caveat that get to a doctor's.
So when we were talking about limitations, the first thing I often think of is I know quite a few people who have attempted multiple MLMs, different businesses. I've been the Tupperware lady. I've been the candles lady. I've been the oil lady. All these different ways to.
You'd be a great Tupperware lady.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Yeah, I thought I was. Yeah. There's no limiting belief there. I am the Tupperware lady. I come across people who are, attempting all these different ways and of generating their own income and wanting to find that freedom to work for themselves and make money, et cetera, et cetera. And what a common theme is that so many people, when they go on these adventures, really don't put it all in and hold back bits of themselves as a bit of a plan B or a hobby, mostly because of the limitations of people around them. We're like, oh, what is it this time? What are you doing this time? And, this is going to be harder than the last one was. And how come this would survive if the last one you failed? So there's all these, negative Nancy's that can be around you. And that the meme you said first, not allowing the limitations of others to become your own. This is a really good example of that. Is that, what, if you want to focus on something and you want to make it work, then the more that you focus on the limitations that other people are putting on you, the more likely you are going to fail. Instead,
yes.
believe in yourself.
There's a level deeper with that, because you can also get to the point mentally where you're like, well, is it going to work? And that, people very often say, linguistically, you can hear it in their minds when they say, yeah, I'm going to give it a red hot poker go. I'm going to give it a real good try.
Yeah. Try. That's the word.
There is no try. You're either doing it or you're not doing it. So you are either all in, like with every fiber of your being, or you're not, because you can give it a red hot poker try and not listen to the naysayers around you. But it's that core fundamental belief that's coming out linguistically, that's deep set in your mind, which will trip you up in the end. There is no try. You're either doing it or you're not doing it.
Well, as soon as you utter the word try, then you better believe that on a deeper unconscious level, you are giving yourself an out, because there's a part of you that does not believe you can do it. And so then, of course, you're holding back. When you hold back a bit of belief, let's call it, what you also hold back is a bit of potential and a bit of energy. It all adds up. The amount 100%. That you put in is the amount you're going to get out.
100%. It was, Robert Dilts, or Bob Dilts, as he's very, fondly known, which is, he's one of the original motivational speakers. He talked about the belief cycle. So, your belief, if you imagine a cycle with your belief at the top, feeds into the actions that you take, and the actions that you take feeds into the resources that you inject into what you're doing. Those resources feed into the results that you get, which feeds back into the belief, and
Yeah.
it just keeps it going. So
Mm.
if you have a little kind of, semi-strong, but, kind of okay belief, but it's not like I absolutely believe that this is going to be successful, like with every fiber of your being. If it's not at that level,
Mm.
you're only going to take certain actions. You can put good actions in, but, not necessarily the full thing.
Yeah.
That's going to feed into the resources. You're going to you're going to invest a little bit of money, but not necessarily everything you've got. And time, and it's time and money and all that other stuff that goes with it, and sacrifice,
Mm.
which feeds into the results, which will be directly in proportion to everything that you've put into action, which
Mm.
gives you the results, which feeds the belief. So if you look at, all the famous movies, what's the one with Will Smith where he's selling those machines with his little kid, and amazing movie.
Happiness?
That's it, Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah.
He ended up putting absolutely everything into what he was doing. And there's another movie I watched the other day called Joy, about the lady that invented the self-ringing mop. She put everything into it, mortgaged her whole house, and she was literally on the brink of hundreds of $1,000s worth of debt, and ended up going on TV. Some guy was selling it on TV, but did a crap job, no sales. So she ended up going and doing it herself. Epic sacrifice. And it's when you put that level of belief and back yourself, and the size of the action that you take and the resources that you put in, which is everything you've got, then that gives big results, and that refeeds the belief. So that then becomes part of your identity, and away we go. So I find with these MLMs and anything like that, and
Yeah. Any
generally
business, really.
any business, when people are starting anything, you either go into it with your whole heart and your full belief and fully backing yourself,
Mm.
or it might take off, and gradually over time your belief will increase, because you're like, oh, it did work a little bit. Oh, okay, great, here we go. But I find
Yeah.
it's better to start with that level of power, and then you'll be a great success in whatever you're doing. When you're
Well,
chasing the girl you like, or the boy you like, or
the bottom line is, though, if you do not have that level of belief to back yourself, then that's when the negative Nancy's are going to get to you anyway. If
exactly
you 100% are just backing yourself and saying, you know what, I'm a powerhouse and I'm doing this anyway, then the negative Nancy's around you just become white noise. They really do,
100%.
because you get your focus, you get your blinkers on, and you are just,
Yeah,
going for it. So
exactly. And just and this is where you've got to be careful about the judgment thing, because generally, you've got to look at it and just understand, where are they coming from? Are they coming from a place of massive success themselves? 90% of the time they're not. So then you can just be like, oh, yeah, thanks for that, and just dismiss. If they are a billionaire giving you that advice, wonderful, then you should listen to it probably. But 95% of the time you're not talking to a billionaire, or in fact even a multimillionaire.
yeah, well, the people that that are closest to us generally, or the people that are doing poorly, are the ones who give us this, can be not always negative advice. So, they're giving advice that's often means something to them. However, what they are giving you is a reflection of their fears and their limitations. So again, if you talk about judgment, it's about understanding that what they're showing you is what they're afraid of. And another gift you can give them then is believing in yourself and really achieving what you want to achieve. Because when you do it, you give hope to the people around you who are lacking perhaps that belief in themselves, in taking.
Absolutely. Because what I can tell you, if you have the level of belief that's required, and you do back yourself, and you really decide that what you want to happen is going to happen, you will make it happen. You will make it happen. So that's the best lesson of all is to, show them another way.
Yeah, exactly right. Show them another way. And also part of the, when you're talking about limitations, as I said, it comes from a place of fear. And that fear is about the meaning that they've given failure. Whereas you look at, many of the successful business people, they do not see failure as a negative thing. Again, it's all about the meaning you give it. They have gone all in on all sorts of different things, and not all of them have worked. However, they learned something from it and they pivoted and still went all in.
100%. I was having this conversation with somebody the other day, and in the last 3 years, I've set up 18 businesses.
Yeah.
And I've got 3,
And you've learned something every time,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. Start something up and, you go for it and you do it, it's a rinse and repeat scenario, and you have another idea and you go into it with other people. If it's not working, you just very quickly have to, chop it off, cut your losses early and let your profits run. So the 3 that have been successful out of those 18, they've been very successful. So, that just gives you an idea of how many times you have to,
Yeah.
how this works.
I talked about this a little bit on another platform. I talked about risk aversion, and how really there's the 2 types of people, and anyone can change that, to be honest. You can be going from risk averse to embracing risk. And it's not about going and doing something really crazy, risking your life or whatever. It's actually about understanding that the only way you can get results and learn and grow is to take some action and see what happens.
Yes.
Otherwise, we spend all our time in that what if hamster wheel. And that's when you end up with people who unfortunately pass in this life with so many regrets.
So many regrets.
They never regret the things that they did. They regret the things they didn't do.
Every time. So
Every time.
The biggest thing said on a deathbed, and is it one of my favorite quotes is, you don't need to be great to get started, but you do need to get started to be great.
Yeah.
And I was like, that really stuck. That was one of the big things that stuck in my head at the beginning of, being a financial market trader. You'd be like, be worried about getting going with a live account and all that stuff. Is, you poop yourself in a whole different way when you're trading on a demo account versus a live account. So you might as well just start pooping yourself.
Just get it over and don't get messy.
Yeah, because exactly, it's always going to be a bit messy. So best just to get going,
Yeah.
Poop yourself anyway. It's it's refreshing. When you think about it, we always feel better after that.
We do, don't you? Look at me, people come out. Oh gosh, how do we get onto toilet humor already? That relief that people have after that.
And on that note,
yeah. Thanks for tuning in to. I have to. I've got to give credit to Miley Cyrus. She's the one who opened up the little rabbit hole on that particular day for me, when one of the lyrics in her song, I don't know, it's I never swam because I was sure that I would drown. And that's, I think, just about everything in life. Look at people who have a fear of commitment, a fear of relationships, a fear of getting heartbroken, a fear of changing jobs, a fear of moving house. All these things we hold back from doing. That's that core beliefs that you were talking about. It's getting down really into, well, how much do you really count on yourself?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right. And if you think you're invincible, and if you believe that, then you will achieve whatever you want to achieve. What is that classic saying? Whether you say you can or you can't, you will. What is it? I've just butchered it.
If you say, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
You're right. Thank you.
Yeah. It's absolutely absolutely right.
It's classic. And the reason it's lasted this long, that quote has been around for, long time. And it lasts because it is so fundamentally true, right?
Absolutely. It all comes down to what you think.
What you think, the language you use internally as well. There's no point I'm not a fan of the fake it till you make it stuff. I'm not a fan of that saying, fake it till you make it, because what you say externally and internally, that's what you're going to create. And so if you're saying something, oh yeah, I'm so excited about this, and internally you're absolutely shitting bricks, then what you've created is a conflict of pulling both ways. And what happens to anyone that's getting pulled in two ways? They get stuck and they don't move anywhere. So you have to be all in, externally and internally.
There is a moment in the beginning though where you are going to be in conflict because you say, "Oh, I'm really excited about it."
Yeah, but it's the language, Adam. I am really excited about it, and I'm shitting myself. Do you see the and? By absolutely
Yes.
being
You're
completely
acknowledging both. So you're acknowledging both sides. Yeah. It's actually, one of my I worked with all Bob Proctor's top coaching team and all stuff like that. And she said, Adam, if you're not shitting yourself and excited at the same time, your goal is not big enough.
Yes.
And that really stuck with me forever. So I always know when I'm on the right goal, when I'm both shitting myself and excited at the same time. So that's, I guess, the moral of the story that we can finish on, isn't it? No limitations. You must make sure you're excited and shitting yourself at the same time.
That's right. We managed to make this whole episode really about
Pooping.
Yeah. Really getting to the deep stuff here, aren't we?
Well, sometimes it's just that simple.
Brilliant. All right. Well, let's wrap this bad boy up. Adam, thank you. I'm excited that you are now part of the Automatic Mouth family.
Thank you for having me. And
we are going to get together. This is the exciting stuff. Adam and I are going to get together every week on a Friday and have some amazing conversations about all things linguistics and mindset and whatever, poop, who knows. So, keep an eye out for upcoming episodes.